Bam! Is FreeBSD refusing to use all of that gigantic swap partition that you just made? Well, good news! A single text entry and a single config file is all it takes to fix that. And that's what this video is about. 3-second don't waste my time summary. Hey memers and streamers, it's Fracken here again. So with the release of FreeBSD 15, I have been setting up a new workstation here. This particular one right here, let's see here, uname-a, yeah, 15.0 release. But I have a little bit of a problem. And the problem is this: if we run top and we have a look, we have a grand total of 123 gigs of swap, 128 gigs. And now you're probably looking at that and thinking, you know, but anyone that's actually tried to add a lot of swap to FreeBSD, they already know what the problem is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the workstation that we're looking at, or that I'm recording this on, this machine right here, the one that, you know, that's got the Xorg instance that I'm recording this on. So if we take a look at this, I'm going to go back to my, okay, so I got to look at a list here because I'm old and my brain doesn't work right and all that kind of stuff. But so anyway, so yeah, if you've ever made a FreeBSD machine with a lot of swap, you already know what this is about. And the trouble is that when you partition more than, you know, what they think is reasonable, so to speak, it pretty much just ignores it. And I had the same problem when I designed this machine here. And if we actually have a look at this here right now, if we have a look here, you'll notice, again, 123 gigs of swap. But if we go and have a look at the actual swap stats that we have currently right now, you'll notice I've only got about 4.8 gigs worth of stuff in swap. For me, that's not a lot. That you know, this is basically not having anything on the machine running. Like there's times where I will routinely run with anywhere between 60 to 80 gigs worth of swap on the machine, and it's only got 16 gigs of RAM, right? And now that works out for me because I've got workloads where, you know, if an entire process gets swapped out and it's just sitting idle, it doesn't matter because whatever it is that I'm working on is the important part. And you'll notice that I've got a fairly interesting window manager here where I can, you know, slip and slide around and work on all kinds of, you know, interesting stuff all at the same time. But so anyway, I kind of run into the same problem with this machine here. And if we just have a quick look at the actual, oh boy, yeah, I think we're going to have to redo that again. There we go. So let's see here, disk management. Okay, so you'll notice that we've got two, oh, I guess I can't highlight it, but there are two FreeBSD swap partitions on here. There's actually 3 disks in this machine. One is dedicated for the actual operating system itself. That's all it does, is just operating system. Then 2 more, which are completely separate devices. They do nothing but swap duty. And for that reason, I originally wanted to have 256 gigs of swap. Well, I ran into the very same problem with this machine that I'm running into on the new one. New one is going to be doing even more stuff, so, and I can't afford the RAM because I'm sure you've seen RAM prices lately. Oh boy. So if we go and we have a look at this new machine here and have a look at it, oh, I guess we're going to have to stretch this out. And we go and we have a look at disk management. You'll notice that I have 1/4 terabyte worth of swap partitioned. It's a dedicated partition. But now, again, if we go and we have a look, only 128 gigs. Well, 123 gigs. So what gives? Well, if we go to, let's see here, and then what is it we need to look at? No, we don't have Pico in here. What is it? I gotta look because my brain's old and I'm not good. Where are we? Oh, that's why. Var log. Message, come on. And then if we search for, you'll notice that it says, warning, total configured swap pages exceeds maximum recommended amount. And then it says down below, increase kern max swap or reduce amount of swap. This is the problem, but there's an easy fix. So if we look, we've only got 128 gigs worth of swap, but there is one line that you can add to the loader.conf, and it's this one right here. And in my case, what I did is I just grabbed what it's, it recommended whatever it was in the log file. I rebooted it, wasn't enough, bumped it a little bit more, still wasn't enough, bumped it a little bit more, it finally quit complaining. So what I'm going to do is, you'll notice that it was commented out, and this is what I did so I could make this video for you guys, is I commented out that change that I had made and booted the machine so that you could see what it looks like in its default state. So if you try and allocate more than a certain amount of memory, a certain amount of swap for a certain amount of memory, in this case, more than 128 gigs worth of swap with only 16 gigs of RAM, you're going to run into this, where it doesn't matter how many devices you have. You could have 100 dedicated swap disks with 16 exabytes worth of swap. You're still going to get 128, right? But what we're going to do is we're going to save that. And now we're going to reboot that machine. And that machine's going to be gone. Ah, crap. Close tab. Do I really want to close it? Yes. Now, this should start pinging again in a minute. What is it? 1, 6, 8. Yeah, I think so. Okay, now we just got to wait. Twiddle our thumbs. Twiddle the thumb machine. Wait till that comes back up. Hopefully DHCP gives it the same IP when it comes back up. It should. It's got to go through the whole, booting screen where it's like, hit enter to, or we're just going to time, count down and all that crap. But we'll just wait. And wait. And it's back. Okay. Now, bam, green eggs and ham, baby. 256 gigs worth of swap. So, yeah, that's it. You just have to edit that one file. Oh, let's see here. Where are we going? CD boot. And no, loader.conf. So, that's all you need to do. Yeah, because I'm not root. It's freaking out. Loader.conf is unreadable. Well, I would hope so. But yeah, so that's all you got to do is make that one change in loader.conf. And if you need a whole bunch more swap, and I mean, look, let's be honest, right? Swap is not ideal, right? If I had the choice, this machine would have a terabyte worth of RAM in it and I don't know, a whole bunch of other stuff, 1,024 core Threadripper and, whatever. But we, make do with what we have. So in this case, it's, burning up a disk is, because that's basically what I'm doing. I used to actually use really fast enterprise spindles. In fact, I'm going to put a picture of that on the screen right now. This is one of my machines. That entire left side is all a single swap array. Those are 15,000 RPM drives. There's 16 of them, and that drive is as fast as a lower-end NVMe drive, like thousands and thousands of megs a second. And I even short-stroked it. And that's another thing, too. If you're going to use a solid-state drive for swap, don't fill the drive right up. Right, because we all know this, like solid state drives don't do well when they're full, and the more stuff you have on it, the worse write amplification is, and the harder trim has, harder of a time it has dealing with all that stuff. So, if we go back and we have a look here, you'll notice that, there's nothing else on those drives. Or I guess I haven't actually looked. Let's see here. I don't really want to do that, but the bottom line is, I have these swapper partitions on these dedicated drives, and there's nothing else on them. And that's purely so that, instead of, you've got a drive that's, that big and a swap file that big, if you fill the rest of that so it's almost full, whatever teeny tiny little bit of under provisioning that they did, so that they've got that little teeny tiny little bit of free space, they're having to shuffle stuff in and out of there and copy and write stuff all over just to be able to deal with that teeny tiny little swap file that you've got on that drive. So if you want to use a solid state drive as a swap drive, or high performance for any reason, anything where you're swapping stuff in and out all the time, your best bet is to, keep as much free space on that drive as you can. Myself, I prefer to have less than 25%. And the side benefit of that too is, even outside of the whole benefit of write amplification, you've got so many more blocks free from when you initially start having to write to the drive, that you can write for a lot more time before you're on free blocks and trim has to start doing its thing and shuffling stuff around and blah, 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 blah. But anyway, that's pretty much it. Kern.maxswzone, make it a big number, whatever. It gives you a recommended number in your dmessage.today file when you boot the machine. But, just stuff that number in there, bump it up a little bit to whatever, and away you go. But anyway, that's it for now, guys. Hope you guys are having a good one, and Merry Christmas, and GG's, and 7 3s.